Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Coming up on this episode of Off 90, learn about a handwritten Bible that was recently completed for a Benedictine Abbey, which is the first time that this has happened since the invention of the printing press, and the Austin Library has a copy. Get down and dirty with some folks in Chatfield as they cast works of art out of molten hot metal. And preparations for the future to preserve the past. A history museum in Albert Lea gets a facelift. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. In 1998, a special Bible was commissioned to be made for St. John's Abbey and University in St. Joseph, Minnesota. It was completed near the end of 2011. What made this Bible particularly special was that it was the first handwritten and illustrated Bible to be commissioned by an abbey for hundreds of years. The Austin Public Library is fortunate enough to have a copy of this unique work of art.
First of all, usually they're a little bit, what is this? Anyway, why is it out here? And then as you tell them how it was made, how long it took, they're just amazed. And it isn't very long before I'll tell them, go ahead and turn a page. And they're turning pages and they go, oh, look at this, or look at this. How did they do this?
And it's awesome. It's unbelievable what it is.
It's a very personal experience to see a work of art. And people sometimes see a book, they sometimes see art, they sometimes see a Bible.
People are touched by it, maybe is how I would say that it reaches some level of, I don't know if the word is awe, but some level that's a little deeper than just the book off the shelf normally. It's a book. We have a library full of books, and it's been an important book throughout history, and that's what we do, is books. Every time I come, I see something new. You know, a portion of a drawing that's different, or I didn't notice that that figure was there. One of my favorites is the one right at the beginning of the whole thing, the creation story in 7 days. But there are the 7 panels for the 7 days of creation. We have a picture from the Hubble telescope of the Fertile Crescent. We have reproductions of cave drawings, Aboriginal cave drawings from Australia. So St. John's Bible, it's a Bible for today.
This is Hebrew.
Hebrew, very good. I'm impressed.
Librarians do love books, and I do. I love them in all their forms, whether they're e-books or physical books. But when I saw these books for the very first time, I couldn't even believe that people had taken that much time and effort to create another Bible. And why would they do that? It seemed to me that expression of love for the written word in that kind of physical form was just an expression of human art and human endeavor. The St. John's Bible that we have is a fine art copy of the original Bible that is a handwritten, hand-illuminated object of art of historical significance that's up at St. John's University.
The St. John's Bible is a beautiful, monumental work that was written and created by a team of artists and scribes commissioned by St. John's Abbey and University. And it took 15 years for this project to be completed. The St. John's Bible is 1,127 pages, and you can think of it as 1,127 artworks. each page truly was an artwork. Even if it didn't have a picture or illumination on it, the lettering itself is remarkable. We didn't do a new translation of the Bible. The words we chose were the NRSV, the New Revised Standard Version, a beautiful translation of the Bible. But we did do a new visual translation of the Bible. St. John's Bible includes over 160 artworks that are really designed to make people stop and think. They are also designed to bring the Bible visually into the modern world, into our visual vernacular. And so, for example, on a page about forgiveness, there's an image of the Twin Towers tucked in the corner there, very quietly, but just as a reminder to us, can we forgive really the unforgivable? And one of my favorite stories is about a little child who was at a gallery looking at our Adam and Eve portrait, and the docent came around and the child had tears in his eyes. And this little African-American child looked back at her when she asked, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Nothing's wrong. It's just the first time I've ever seen an Adam and Eve that look like me." This was the idea of Donald Jackson. It was a dream that he had had since childhood. I mean, think about it. Every calligrapher in the world has at some time probably looked at a handwritten work, and most of those handwritten works over the centuries have been scriptural. And so as a young child, Donald said, someday I want to do the equivalent of the Sistine Chapel for a calligrapher, handwrite the Bible. And so that finally in 1995, Donald Jackson asked St. John's, "How are you going to mark the millennium? And if I got an idea for you, how would you like to commission me and a team of people to handwrite the Bible, the way it would have been done centuries ago, but using a modern translation, but traditional tools?" The pages are written on beautiful vellum. The inks were made in the 1870s, and they are actually lamp black. Well, this is actually soot, so this would have been candle smoke collected from the 1870s. And these are hand ground, and these beautiful pigments will make sure that these images or these words last for centuries because it won't break down any further. The pages also include beautiful illuminations that use 24-karat gold that will play with the light as the pages are turned, giving that true sense of the meaning illumination. The St. John's Bible was written with a turkey, swan, or a goose quill. And I'm holding in my hand now just a real simple quill. We often think of seeing the stereotypical quill with all the feathers and stuff on it. This is what quills have looked like for centuries. The artists peeled off the barbs. They heat this to harden it, to clean it up and heat it, and then they, with a simple tool, a penknife, and a few cuts, they make the most perfect tool for writing. And our principal artist says that this truly becomes an extension of the hand, and you get beautiful, thin, elegant lines like no metal pen can give you. It took on average between 7 to 13 hours for one scribe to write one page. And that's no artwork, that's just the lettering. And it took 6 calligraphers 7 years to write all the words of the Bible.
It's so against everything that culture is about right now. Easy consumerism, use and toss. We've had some complaints from people that this is hard to read, and we say, no, it's not hard to read, it just slows you down, which is what you want people to do when they're meditating on these images and these words. I was on the committee that worked from St. John's, the Committee on Illuminations and Text. What we wanted was, I sort of describe it as almost like weaving. We wanted the words and the images to sort of do this together so that you get a kind of new meaning. And so, for example, in this illustration from the Judge's Anthology, the illustration doesn't tell you a story, but it gives you the sense of what's going on. This was a time of huge chaos for the Jewish people during their slavery in Egypt. So the image around the edge has images of Egyptian culture. In the middle are these strange forms that are clashing and colliding. And what it sort of tells you is that this group of people, this nation, the Jewish nation, was not able to come together. It was fragmented when it was outside of its own context, which eventually would be Israel.
One of the challenges we have with the St. John's Bible is that there is one. There is one original. That does take some care and some safekeeping. And we want to be able to share it. And that was the challenge. How do we share this work of art and make it available to people? So St. John's embarked several years ago on a project to recreate it in a fine art edition. And that fine art reproduction recreates the pages of the Bible in almost every detail except they're printed on paper. It's a very high-end, fine art, museum quality lithograph copy of the St. John's Bible. And we made 299 sets. And so the Austin Public Library was gifted by a generous donor a full-size copy of the St. John's Bible. Seeing the Heritage Edition is as close as you're going to get to seeing the real thing.
One of the things that really convinced me that we could be a home to these books was that the donor felt very strongly that in 100 years, if the books were pristine, he would have wasted his money. He felt very strongly that the books should be used, they should be examined, that they should interact with people. And I think that a public library, and especially a small public library, is perfectly suited to that.
Some of that magic from the first original volume seems to rub off in this book. It's big, the pages, they feel different.
I think the significance of it is the fact that the Bible is communal. This beautiful work invites us to come together with others, to share it, to make it a truly communal piece.
Whether this is the foundation of your belief system, it's still an amazing example of how someone who does believe sees the relationship of the Word and the image.
It's a work of art. It's a true work of art.
Is the kind of person who really likes to get his hands dirty. As an artist, he prefers to work with found objects, tools, and molten metal. A few times a year, Carl gets together with a few of his like-minded friends and other artists who like their works to have a hard edge. They meet at a farm outside of Chatfield for an iron pour. The event promises to make its participants very hot and dirty, but the results can be stunning and beautiful.
You have this danger factor, you have this nervousness at first of people like, oh my, you know, 2,800 degree molten metal. My name is Carl Lunisch. I live in Pilot Mountain, Minnesota. I'm an artist and I thoroughly enjoy iron pours. Iron pour is basically a group of artists and other folk get together, break a bunch of scrap iron, make a bunch of molds, heat up their iron pour furnace, and then pour molten metal into these molds. Wait a day, break them out, and you've got sculpture. It's an art venture. It's something that folks can choreograph together as a group. It's quite social. It really requires, you know, a semi-tight-knit group of folk that quite, you know, work well together and can be creative at the same time without the egos getting in the way. We take time to really get to know each other in this week to 2 week span of time, and it becomes this cross-fertilization of ideas and experiences and knowledge. The safety gear that you wear involves making sure that all your soft bits are covered. Your eyes, your face, your neck, your shoulders, especially your feet.
That's going to be used as an emergency head dunker, foot dunker, whatever. We're going to have one on each side.
Handling the ladle, you got to be strong enough to carry anywhere from 100 to 150 pounds of metal. And there's this, you know, top part that's still molten, that's glowing at you, so you have a face shield. You have your helmet on for sparks and embers that are coming out of the furnace. You've got heavy boots on. You got aprons or leggings. You've got your welding jackets, or your what we call the baked potato jackets, which are the aluminum reflective gear.
I need a charge of Coke.
There's maybe 5 to 2% petroleum and byproducts in the Coke yet. After that, it's all carbon. When that carbon ignites, you get that temperature up from anywhere about like 2,000 degrees to 2,400 degrees. Then you really start forcing air into it. That's where the blower comes in. This is in southeast Minnesota at my parents' farm. My original studio was right there at the site, and it overlooks the low field where the creek and the river come together, the river and Trout Run Creek. And it's such a bucolic setting. I dug into the hillside where my old studio was, and it made it more efficient to run a pour there. It's been an annual event. I've got a core group of veterans that I really rely on because they're used to running the furnace. Every furnace has its own, let's say, personality or way it likes to work. People bring scrap iron when they show up. The ones that want their mold field, they offer it. Say, here's some scrap iron, let's throw it in. So it all goes into a community pile. I get it donated from anybody that I talk to, and that scrap pile gets built up over the year. For me, it's a sculptural medium that allows me to get in touch with something primal at the same time something refined in a good balance. The end result is something heavy and sculptural and massive, but it can be, you know, wispy and refined and delicate too. Iron has so many capabilities as a medium that it appeals to a lot of different personalities too. When I first started, it was such a rush. It was just like, oh my gosh, I'm melting iron, I'm pouring iron, I'm really being an artist. Now it's just like, oh, it's so much work. But it's fun work, you know. It takes time to set this up, you know, and after you're all done, you take your aspirin, you drink your water, you might have a little something to take the pain away. But the work that's involved yields really good results, and you know that that's why you're doing it.
It's best to make preparations for the future in order to effectively preserve the past. And the Freeborn County Historical Museum is doing just that. Freeborn County has a rich heritage that the staff at the Freeborn County Historical Museum work hard to care for. Lately, they realized they were running out of room. Learn about their plans for the future, as well as some of the things the museum is working so hard to preserve.
When I'm walking through the museum and I stop at any one exhibit that we have, it's sort of like taking a trip back in time. And I think that's what we're trying to do for visitors that come, is to relate to a time earlier in our county history. And to me, it brings back stories of my childhood, and it may bring back memories of my grandparents, you know, just things that have happened in the past, or maybe that I've been told about. And that's what we hope to do, is sort of to bring those things to life for our visitors that come to the museum. I'm Pat Malso, and I'm the Executive Director at the Freeborn County Historical Museum, Library, and Village. We hope to bring to life the history of Freeborn County by showing in our exhibits different situations, different time periods that might bring back memories for people as they're going through the museum, or that will bring to life things that maybe have been told to us by our parents or grandparents by actually seeing the object or seeing a photo, or, you know, seeing something that's going to spark that memory or that thought process to take you back in time. Probably our two largest famous people are Marion Ross, who played the mother in Happy Days and has also starred in many Hallmark movies and plays. Marion grew up here from 3rd grade to 10th grade, so she calls this her home. Her sister still lives here, and she's very supportive of the museum. And then our other leading person would be Eddie Cochran. We still have visitors every year that come from England, Australia, and Montreal to see our Eddie Cochran exhibit. And you think about he died when he was just in his early 20s, and so he hadn't been a star for very long, but he had a lot of gold records, Summertime Blues being one of the #1 ones that people would recognize. The Freeborn County Historical Society was actually formed in 1948, incorporated in 1959, and actually was located in many different locations at the beginning of its time. But in 1965, they actually built the first part of our museum building that we're in today, and then the first edition was put on in 1980, and now we're getting ready to put on the second edition. So it has grown over the years. We're at a turning point in our position as being a county historical society and museum that we need right now additional space in order to continue collecting and preserving the history of Freeborn County. Our archive area is full from the floor to the ceiling with little or no paths between it. So if we want to continue being able to preserve the history, because we have a pretty good collection up into the 1940s and beginning into the 1950s, but we need to start collecting things from the 60s, 70s, and on up. And if we aren't able to do that, there'll be a point where people will come and say, well, what happened to this that ended in 1990? And we're going to say, I'm sorry, we didn't have room, so we weren't able to take it. So, as time goes on, there's a need for additional space. Also to have the opportunity to serve our community better by having a more up-to-date facility for library research, for having meeting rooms where people can come and actually have presentations presented to them, whether it be on our photo collections or archived vertical files or whatever it might be, that we have a space to do that in. With the building addition to our current museum, we'll be able to have a new entrance, which will be closer to the parking. We'll have a larger meeting room area, a larger library, a hands-on learning lab for children, which we're really excited about, to have an area where we can actually have items that the children can touch and feel and learn about firsthand. We'll have an elevator, which is going to make it much easier for our handicapped visitors to negotiate getting up and down from one level to the other. So those are just a few of the things that will be changing and making our museum special. When people come to visit here, and we do have people that come usually from 35 to 40 states a year, plus usually 15 or 16 foreign countries, and when people, especially those that come in from out of town, they're amazed at what we have here in a small county museum. They said they could compare us to larger museums in larger cities and even on the state level, because we have such a wide variety of exhibits, and because we have a museum and a historical village and a library all in one complex. They feel it's really a good bang for their buck. Because once they pay the $5 general admission, they can visit all three parts of our complex. In 2012, we had visitors from, I believe it was 36 states and 12 foreign countries, and we had about 13,000 visitors in the museum during that year. And that's our best estimate. We try to catch everybody that comes in, but sometimes you don't. You forget to mark somebody down, but that should be pretty close. And that's pretty much an average for us. It's usually between 12 and 13,000. The Freeborn County Historical Museum, Library, and Village is building the future by preserving the past. And that's so that future generations will have the opportunity to see what has happened in the past and where their roots have come from.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. See you next time, Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.